go. Hello. Welcome to our monthly live stream. Today we're going to talk about calculate, one of the most important functions in Power Pivot. If you understand how to use calculate, you will be able to achieve so much more with your DAX in both Power BI as well as in Excel. This is going to be a slightly advanced lesson. So if you are not at all familiar with DAX, you might find some of the concepts that I'm presenting a little confusing, but feel free to stick around, and you will be definitely surprised and you might actually pick up things. But if you have already been using DAX for a while in either Power Pivot or Excel, you're going to love this. All right. We got like a lot of people and I was kind of watching the chat room for a minute, not for a minute, almost 30 minutes really, on and off. So it's good to see so many familiar faces, but quite a few new people as well. So a big hearty welcome to the live stream. Let's just jump into the action. I've got my calculator here and let's just see, tell me in the comments if you can hear me loud and clear and if there is any problems with the audio or whatever, but hopefully that's not the case. So the first and the most important announcement, and then we will get into Power BI right away, is the example files. I have put the example files in the video description below. So, just download the workbooks if you want to follow along. You don't have to follow along. You can just sit back, enjoy a beverage and watch me teach, take some notes and then go back and do it later. But for those of you who would like to kind of follow while watching the live, the files are there. So there are three files. One is a blank Power BI workbook. When I say blank, it does already have the data model and the base measures built into it. So you just have to download that if you want to follow along now. But if you are a little bit more adventurous, I've got also another file, which is a blank Excel workbook. So that's the raw data itself. So you can use that and you can build the model and you can construct the base measures if you want. To save the time, I've kind of built all of those. And then the third file is my completed file. So the aim of this session is by the end of it, we will have the similar completed file from the blank file. But the completed file is also there in case you want to kind of refer to that as a done example thing. So please download the workbooks for those of you who would like to follow along. Let me just put a welcome message again. Welcome to the DAX Calculate session. I am really excited for this because this is one of the most requested live stream topics in a while. So I thought, because usually in the live streams, I'm dealing with kind of like beginner to intermediate topics. So this is an option for me to talk to slightly more experienced users of DAX within both Excel and Power BI. All right. I think the chat room is buzzing with lots of action. Ignacio says that loud and clear. Thank you, Ignacio, for that. We got some of the familiar, like Ronnie Kramer. Nice new haircut, Chandu. The reason why Ronnie knows this is I was doing a live Power BI cohort a couple of weeks ago, and Ronnie was one of the members. So I had quite long hair then, but I got tired of that. So I got the haircut. I'm still a bit lazy with the beard, so I might actually shave it next week, or I might just wing it for a while. I don't know exactly what's the plan for that is. And Felipe asks, will it be recorded? The plan is to not record this. So this is going to be live. It might stay on YouTube for a while, but I might just make it offline because the whole idea of live streaming is we all spend the energy and time together learning in one flow. So that's the whole concept here. All right. So I think the audio is good. Everything is good. I hope the files you have downloaded. So let's just jump into Power BI. I'm going to just move my mic so I can kind of see everything and move this thing here. And share the screen. All right, so this is the screen. I will get into Power BI in a minute. Michelle says, so this isn't an April Fool's joke. I don't know where the April Fool thing really came. I mean, it's because it is on 1st of April, so people thought, oh, this is a joke. Chandu is not going to really do this. But no, it's not. I'm not that... oh, something happened. I think the screen is gone now. Sorry. Yeah, so it's not an April Fool's jokes. It's just that... I couldn't really do it. Normally, I want to do this live stream on the last Friday of the month. But last Friday of the month, I was doing my Power BI live cohort in which Ronnie has been one of the participants. So I couldn't really do it. So this is why I had to move it now. So yeah, Michelle, not an April Fool joke. All right, I'm just going to hide this banner. While we get into Power BI, feel free to tell me what is it that you're drinking. In case you want to know what I am drinking, I got a clue on the white blackboard there. Do you see that now? It was a bit blurry, isn't it? That's the reason why I started the session with me standing there. So I'm having a calculatte, just regular latte really. So as I'm mentioning, before we get into Power BI, I thought, this is one of the housekeeping things in the live stream. Many people always ask, I can see, but everything is blurry or whatever. So if you're watching it, of course, you're watching it on YouTube, but on YouTube, if your quality is not so good, there is a little gear or cog icon on the video. Just click on it and then change your quality to 720p. That's the highest P at which I'm streaming. So go for the highest one and then the quality will be good. Obviously, you need a good internet connection, but hopefully you have the good internet connection. So that's that. Let's just get into Power BI. Here is my blank file. As I said, this is the one that I have put a link in the video description. So those of you who are following along, I hope you grabbed that. What we will do is I'll briefly explain the model and the base measures, and then we will get into the 10 examples. I've got my 10 examples here in a small box as agenda. This is deliberately kept as small so that I can read it, but you don't have to really read it. In the downloaded files, you will have all the examples anyway. This way, I don't lose track and kind of go too far left or right on the specified agenda. So let me just hide that ticker, and then just another quick note for those of you who are asking questions or comments. You are more than welcome to say whatever you want, but any questions you're asking, the topic for the video is DAX calculate. So stick to the topic for questions and put a Q when you're asking a question. Normally I start my live streams with a presentation, but I thought, we'll just ditch the whole thing and get into this. So that's that. And if you kind of do a repetitive comments, like Mr. Blitch Venkat has been doing, I'm going to have to put you in a timeout just so that you don't spam the thing. But he says, do I know Tamil? I know a little bit. I can kind of understand. I can watch Tamil movies and enjoy Tamil songs and everything, but I am not originally from Tamil Nadu. I lived in Chennai for a while. Anyhow, that's a little bit of personal history. So let's just get into this Power BI thing. For a while, I'm just going to hide my face. That way we get more space to the Power BI screen, but I'll come back and show my face. It's going to be here anyway. So we'll go this, and this is my blank workbook, calculate examples file. For those of you who have downloaded it, it's in the video description, like I mentioned. This is the blank one. I'm just going to quickly go to the model view so I can show you what is it that we have here. This is the data model. It's a 5-table model for the most famous company in the world, Awesome Chocolates. So we've got the sales table in the middle that tells me the sales of chocolates that we are doing. And then we've got people, who is the person who is selling, what product are we selling in the product table, which location we are selling this to, and the calendar table that kind of gives me a context of the date. So calendar table is the new one in this model. So some of my other videos, I use the same data set, but we never had the calendar table. But for some of the calculate examples, it makes sense to have a proper calendar table. So I introduced one here. And then it's a fairly simple, straightforward star schema going on here with my fact table in the middle. And these 4 outer edges are my 4 dimensions. So even though this one says sales table, I'm just going to go to the table view. I can show you how the sales table looks like. So this is how it looks like. Don't worry about not being able to read it. You're not really meant to read this. It's just big view of the data. In this sales table, we kind of record not technically sales, but more of shipments, because we ship chocolates. We make chocolates and then we ship. So each shipment is tracked in one row of the table. So even though it's called sales, you can think of this like my shipments, but essentially sales. So one row tells me, I'm just gonna zoom it. We need to run that. And then, so let's just, so let's observe this row here, this particular row. It tells me Gunnar has sold 188 boxes of Baker's Choco Chips to the geography of New Zealand. We don't really know exactly which customer it is. That sort of information is not maintained here. On the 5th of January 2021. And then they made $4,995. So that's really what that individual line says. And then this kind of goes on for many, many lines. So you can see that there is 9,449 rows of information. If I want to know a little bit more about, what's up with Mr. Gunnar, I can go to people table. And then here I can see their details. So for example, here I can see that Gunnar is in the Yummies team. That's the team name in which he operates. And we have also got a nice little profile picture for Mr. Gunnar there. And we have got other people in the team. Likewise, if I go to my products table and then look at Baker's Choco Chips, the product that Gunnar is shipping, we can see that it belongs to bar category of a product. We sell 3 types of products, so bars, bites, and other. And it's $12.41 per box. That's how much it costs us. Likewise, we've got a location table that tells me New Zealand is an APAC region, and a calendar table that gives me a little bit more juice on the what sort of a date is 5th of January and all sorts of stuff like that. Calendar table is self-explanatory, but the other tables give you information from different dimensions. So that's the model. I'm just going to read through some of these comments to make sure that I'm not missing out anything important, and also to make sure that I say hello to some of our good friends and regulars that come to these streams. Bjorn, hi Chandu, Bjorn here from a very dark, early Cambridge, New Zealand. Hey Bjorn, it is really dark out here in Wellington as well. So Bjorn is one of my students, and we met up once for lunch as well in Wellington when he came here for his daughter's game. So it's good to have you here. Barun Behara says, will you tell about DAX Studio? This is not really a DAX Studio class, so I'm not going to get into DAX Studio. DAX Studio, you can think of that as a management software for your data model and building DAX and managing DAX. It's not necessary to know DAX Studio to write DAX. It's just that it's one of the tools that you can use when your model kind of gets a little bit out of hand. So that's where I leave it. Probably you can search on YouTube and you'll find some videos on DAX Studio. I might do like a separate one later on. So that's that. Mohammed Amir Khan says, can you please zoom in on it, please? I will certainly zoom like the way I have done for some of the topics earlier. But as I said, this data, you're not really meant to read the data. It is just there for us to understand what is there. So there is no point reading 9,000 rows of data at a zoomed level. We are going to build more measures, and those are all will be in like a bigger font and everything. So you will be able to read it, but make sure that you're also on a higher quality of the video if possible. That way, it doesn't look grainy. So that's that. Granand says, Chandu, no sleep. It's 1:37 a.m. Darwin, Australia. Oh man, I'm really sorry about that. I don't know exactly whichever time I pick for my live stream. I'm gonna hurt somebody. Like this time, it's 5 a.m. for me in the morning. But because live stream means it's like a high energy thing, so when I go to bed, it's all in my head. Like, oh, I have to do the stream in the morning. I have to do the stream in the morning. So I got up at 3:20 and I couldn't really go back to sleep. So I was kind of tossing and turning on the bed, and I thought I might as well just get out and do something. So I got up at 3:30, but I know I can understand with you. So, all right. So that's the data model in the tables. So now let's just get into the calculate bit. Like I said early on at the start of the session, calculate is the most important and versatile function in Power Pivot. So when you are learning Power Pivot, once you kind of understand and unpack calculate, things become so much better and clearer and more awesomer for you when you start using it. It's not the only function. There are many other functions, and as your DAX journey evolves, you might have kind of develop a love-hate relationship with calculate. But I feel like calculate is imperative in many situations. So understanding and using it correctly means you will unlock the true potential of Power Pivot. So we will get into examples. We'll build some simple things, and then we'll kind of expand on that. By the end of the hour, hopefully you will have more understanding of calculate. Time for a different view. So I'll keep my face in the corner. That way you can still see most of the Power BI. Before even we try the calculate, let's just look at some of the base measures. I have built some measures here already. 3 measures really. One is called shipment count. So this is my shipment count. It just counts how many rows are there in the sales table. So 9,000 shipments, that's how much is my shipment count is going to be. Like that, there is a total boxes measure, tells me how many boxes we shipped, and total sales amount, which tells me what is my total sales amount column as a measure. So these are called base measures because all we are doing here is a very simple arithmetic operation of counting or summing or averaging stuff, and then we get the answer. So for the very first example, even before we get into the real example, the example 0, let's just look at the total sales at an individual person level. When you are learning DAX, a good idea would be to try the table visual rather than any of the other graphs. This way you get to see the numbers, and then kind of that connects better than the graphs initially. But normally when we finally use them, we use them in visuals, not the table most often. So I'm going to insert a table visual, and in this table visual, I will just say for my people. So go to the people table and then get my salesperson value here. That's just going to show me all the names that we have got. What is the total sales each of them are bringing? So at a grand total level, you can see that we have got 46 million, and at an individual level, we will have all of these values. So if I sort or whatever, I can see, for example, Gunnar is our highest salesperson with 2.195 million. All the way down here is Van Tuxwell with 1.075 million. So this is my total sales. And this is fairly straightforward. Like I'm seeing this, I understand it, it kind of makes sense. But if you want a little bit more context, the way this works is the values are coming from 2 different tables. People person name comes from people table, and then total sales comes from my sales table. So internally, there is a automatic filtering happening to facilitate all of this. So if I go back to my diagram view, the tables that are playing to get this information are this table and that table. Let's just do some drawing here. So this is the table number 1 and this is the table number 2. Here I'm using total sales, which internally uses the amount column and then sums it up. So total sales and amount column, we can kind of think of them as synonymous at this point. And the way this works is when you put the person name on the table, this is the column that we used on the table. Then for each person at that point, let's say we want to calculate Gunnar's total sales. Internally, what Power Pivot will do is it will come to the people table. It will filter down so that only Gunnar's row is remaining. Everything else is gone. And then because this table is filtered, then it kind of follows this line. Here you can see that the arrow is pointing this way. So that means if this is filtered, this table should also be filtered. So it's going to propagate the filter here. And then it kind of filters this table, sales table, down to just Gunnar's data. At that point, it then adds up the amount column. Sum of amount column is total sales, and then comes back and reports on the screen. So this massive process of filtering, calculating kind of goes on in the back. So that is in a nutshell really what Power Pivot engine does in the behind scenes. It always starts the process with the filter and then it applies the calculation on the screen level. Let's say I don't want to see total sales, I want to see average sales, or I want to see shipment count. Then all I have to do is instead of total sales, I can change the measure here, or I can write a new calculation. So that process is straightforward. Like we can imagine instead of doing a sum, we could do a count or min or max or average or median or whatever else you want. But how would we tell Power Pivot if I want to change the way it is filtering, right? Because calculation change, I can change the logic from sum to count or average. But if I want to tell Power Pivot, hey, you shouldn't be filtering this, you should be also filtering that, or you should do this instead. So that is where really calculate comes in. Calculate gives you a mechanism to alter the filter criteria. You can either introduce new filters, or you can take away the filters, or you can do whatever you want. So that's where really the origin story of calculate is. If I have to kind of give you a very rudimentary version of it, let me take a sip of calculate. And now let's go here. So instead of seeing the total sales alone, what I want to do is I want to understand how much that each person is selling for just for the bar category of products. Okay, so I want to know what their bar sales look like. First, we'll try to answer this question without using any extra measures, and then we will introduce calculate. That way you kind of see where calculate fits into the overall spectrum of things. So we got total sales, and I want to know what that number would be if I'm just looking at bars. One easy and very sneaky and simple way to do this is you just insert a slicer, and on the slicer we can put category, and it will give you options for each of the categories, and then just click on bars, and then you are seeing bar value. This is good, but this has a problem, which is when I click into category of bars, then I lose the context of what was their overall number. The overall number of 2 million is now gone, and we are just kind of drilled down and looking at just the bars level. So this option gives you the number that you want, but it doesn't really let you do comparisons or proportionality analysis and things like that. So this is really where calculate shines. We could kind of not have this. So delete the thing and still be able to answer both questions. What is my total sale and what is my bar sales? So we'll create our first measure using calculate, which is right click on the table, new measure. And this one is going to be bar sales. And so it's total sales, and now we have bar sales. And the bar sales would be, I just want to calculate the total sales as if I am imposing an extra filter where category is bars. So that's the plain English version of bar sales definition. And we will use calculate like this. So calculate open square bracket, and then pick your measure. So I want to calculate total sales by adding a context of that extra filter. The extra filter that we want to do is category. So product table category is equal to, and then in double quotes, bars. You just type it as you would normally with the category name and click OK. The measure is now added, bar sales. I can just put that on the table and then we will see it. The measure only has the value. It doesn't have the carry the formatting of the base measure. So we will have to still apply the currency formatting on it to be able to see that. So you can see, for example, total sales and bar sales are fairly high for Gunnar, but someone like Jan, 2.1 million, but their bar sales are a little lower. Some of these other people, their bar sales are higher. Because we've sorted, you can kind of see the discrepancy there. So that is at a bar level how that really looks like. Let's see if there is any questions or confusions at this point. Otherwise, we will just kind of move on. D says, not how many fact tables are too many. I built a model with 9 fact tables, 15 dimension tables, followed by a Collie method. There's nothing like too many or too little. Whatever you're doing for a scenario or a situation. But if I am making 9 fact tables, I'll probably go back to the drawing board and ask questions like, what is it that we're trying to do here? And can I change it to be slightly better? Because that way it becomes manageable in our head. Irrespective of how complex the model is, you still have to mentally manage it. So I can't imagine what it would be like having 9 tables and 16 tables all connected, because that could be a little too much for me to process if I want to write a measure or optimize things. So yeah, probably go back and see if you could cut down or combine the tables to make a bigger flat table or whatever. So Joe says, are you able to use calculate to get a count of people who made sales of over X on average in a week, where X is the target daily average? You should be able to build such kind of things. Probably by the end of the video, you would have the necessary tools to kind of do these kind of things. So yeah. All right, let's so the bar sales is pretty clear. Now let's just see what would be another example. And this example might be a little confusing, but hopefully this is where things get a little interesting. So I got my salesperson, total sales and bar sales. Now, if you notice, our salespeople, we do have one of our favorite employees, Bar Fawny here, whose name coincidentally also has the word bar. So I thought it'll be fun to create a bar sales measure. This way we can practice the calculate syntax and understand the concept better. So new measure, this measure is called bar sales. This would be the sales of just for that person. So here, again, the result for this looks a little confusing in this table, but I'll put it in a different table and then we can kind of take notes of from both. So calculate total sales, where salesperson is equal to, and then double quotes, Bar Fawny. You need to specify the whole thing. You can't just say equal to bar or whatever. The Power BI DAX doesn't have like a like operator. There is another function called contain strings, but this is how we can do it. So then you click OK, and now we have got a bar sales as well. Let's just add this, and it's going to show me that value. I'll quickly apply formatting, and then we can kind of decipher the representation here. And I'm just going to uncheck bar. So irrespective of which person I'm viewing it Gunnar, Jan, Madeline, or the bars record itself, it's always 1.896. This is because that value is the value for bar phony. Okay, so we got the bar sales number, and then that value is same irrespective of which person I'm viewing. The way to think about it is, in the original bar sales, the one with single R, we took the total sales and then we sliced it just so that we could add an extra filter at the category level. Whereas this bar sales, we have now altered the filter context. So the way to think this is, if I go back to my diagram view, and then we'll get into a little bit of drawing here. So I said that we are using these two tables to generate the values. Now this time we are looking at the bar sales. To calculate the bar sales kind of internally uses total sales. The way Power BI does the job is, it'll first start with the same way, which is it'll filter down the people table just down to the first record. Let's just say that is Gunnar. So it says here it is having Gunnar. So it kind of goes and propagates the filter criteria here. The total sales table, the sales table also kind of shrinks down to just the Gunnar records. At that point, my calculate tells that after you have drilled down, make sure that the person name is Bar Phony, but the current person is Gunnar. So at this point, Power BI says, wait, calculate is telling me something. So let me go back and redo the filters. So it kind of goes again and reapplies a different filter, overriding the one that is coming from the screen. The screen tells me Gunnar, but calculate says, no, you don't do Gunnar. You're going to get me the value for bar. So it applies the filter at bar phony and then again propagates the values here, which will then kind of gets you the same set of rows irrespective of who I'm looking at. It will always be just bar phony because that's what calculate says. Normally we don't really do this kind of analysis here, but because the measures are created at a more basic or abstract level, I can reuse the measure in anything. I can see it here, but I could have in a brand new page a table by geography, and then here I can see what my total sales is and then what is my bar sales is. So overall 7 million from Australia, 319,000 from bar, and this makes perfect sense. But in a different context, when you get the same apply, some of these numbers look a bit rubbish or confusing. But you understand, because that's really how internally the filter override works. Here there is no conflict in the filter, so it kind of makes sense. But here one of them kind of fights with the other, and this is the one that is winning the battle now. Madhuri says, I'm not getting the dollar symbol for bar sales measure. So you got to just select the measure that you created and then click on the measure tools and then apply the currency formatting. You can apply any formatting really, and that'll kind of stick through. Kalpesh says, can you please explain calculate formula in layman term? I did a few times. I don't want to oversimplify this because these are not really, there is an easy explanation and I provided that. So probably rewind the video and watch it. But at the same time, if I oversimplify things, you will miss the complex nature of these things. So at some point or other, we have to kind of absorb the complexity of them in order to work and use them elegantly. Kega says, means the internal filter overrides the external filter. In a way, that is a very, very good way to think about it. The way you can kind of view that is, there is a set of filters that come from the screen. The screen filters could come from your visual itself. You could have a slicer, you could have cross filtering going on between two, like you can click on another visual and this gets highlighted. You could have filters coming in from your filter panel, drill throughs and whatnot. All of those provide a context of what is being filtered. And when all of that is doing its job, Calculate kind of takes the final, has the final word on all of this. So irrespective of what's happening on the screen, Calculate can override anything. That is why it becomes a very powerful and versatile function, in my opinion. Sarvajit says, for me, Barr Sales only shows up for Barr Phony. The rest are blank. That's interesting. That probably means you have put the salesperson column here, not from the people table, but because there's two salespersons column. So if you put the one from here, that might actually be the thing. Yeah, so if I put the salesperson from my sales table, you see that here I only have this. This is because we are filtering at a product table level, but the context is coming from a different salesperson here. Normally, this sort of a problem wouldn't even be occurring in most actual real life data sets. Awesome Chocolates is a made up company, but real life data sets, you would always have like a salesperson ID in the sales table, and then in the other tables, you will have the actual values. But here, I'm a bit lazy, so the values are repeated, and that could be one of the reasons. So you would want to use it like this, and then that kind of gives you that. Okay, so we got Barr Sales, we got Barr Sales. The third one is the most important one. This is Barr Sales. We'll use this worksheet for the example here. This is where we are adding two filter criteria instead of a single criteria at a time. And this introduces the idea of how you can put multiple criteria in Calculate. You can really put any number of criteria there. So I'll call this as Barr Sales, and this is Calculate total sales. While we are using it sales, you can do the same for shipments, boxes, and whatever else you have on the screen. We'll do a little bit of those things later on in the examples. So first criteria is person in the people table is Barr Phony. And then the second criteria is category in the products table is, why is this override? Okay, Barr. So this is how you can write. Normally when you are building longer formulas, you can kind of use a multiple line approach as well. But I don't really do it for small one line things, but you can shift enter to get into new line, tab out, and then kind of really build it out like this so that it becomes more readable. So, and the enters and the tabs have no impact on the way DAX is calculated. It's just, it makes the whole thing looks pretty and interesting for you when you read it. So Barr Sales is a further slicing of how many bars Barr Phony is selling. And we can kind of put that there. And, oh, I think we made a spelling mistake or something. Yeah, this is bars. So this is going to give me a value. I will just apply quick currency formatting there. And so at Barr Phony level 1.896, for the bar product category, he's doing 990,000. But you can see that, you can put any number of filters in the Calculate, and that will all kind of latch on one on top of another like an AND condition. There is also an OR operator available, but for now we will just deal with AND condition and understand this. I'll leave some of those other bits for you to figure out on your own in the learning time. Okay, so some very interesting questions are coming up. So this one I'm going to read. Kalpesh says, is it possible to use calculate function for a new column, or it can be only use it for measures? You can use it in columns as well. When used in an add column kind of a thing, calculate also can take the row context and transition to filter context. So it's one of its superpowers. But I'm not going to go into that because that requires explaining a few more inner bits, which I'm not planning to cover in this session. But that's something that you can try it out and then either make sense, or I'll recommend some resources at the end of the session where basically I'm going to talk about how do you take your calculate knowledge to the next level. So stick around and you'll be able to get some clues. And Rajan says, requesting you to do some demo with all and all except. That's the next topics that we are going to talk, Rajan. So good thing that you kind of segued me there. So those three are done. I'm going to show you a few more examples and then we will kind of build the knowledge. So we have seen how to build. So the next one is I want to see, go to the data here quickly. You can see that the boxes value tells me how many shipments we are doing at an each line item level. And if you apply filter, you can see that sometimes we ship very low, like there is even a 0 boxes shipped. I don't really know what's going on. It's probably some sort of error data that is coming in. But our box count goes from 1 box for a specific order all the way up to 3,360 boxes. So we kind of ship all over the place. Sometimes we do big shipments with 33,000 boxes. Some other times we are only shipping 10 boxes. Internally, we would like to analyze what proportion of our shipments are the low box count shipments. That means low box count is basically anything under 50 boxes within Awesome Chocolates. We think of that as low box count. So if a particular shipment, we are only putting 50 boxes, I just want to know out of all the shipments that we make, what is the proportion of that? So this is where we could use, again, calculate to answer. So I'll expand this table and I'll take away some of these items so we can kind of keep some but not all of them. That way you don't really forget about these things. And I'll just put the shipment count at a level. So for example, each country we are doing about 1,500 boxes. At an overall level, 9,449. That's the total shipments that we have done. I said boxes, but that's how many shipments we're doing. And I want to know out of 1,500, how many of those shipments are under 50 boxes per shipment. So this is where I can add a new measure. This measure is low box shipment count. We're going to use an acronym LBS later on for the same, that way kind of small. Calculate shipment count. So I want to count shipments where the boxes are under 50. So we'll just refer to the boxes. And it says total boxes, but I don't want total boxes. So I'll say sales table boxes is under 50. So you can also add a filter like this with less than, greater than kind of a thing. So this is good for this kind of analysis where I'm doing the analysis on a numeric field. I can simply say this number is under 50. Tell me how many shipments are there, like that. And that's gonna add up there. We will add that and you can see that as a number. I can apply some thousands separator so that way at a grand total level it's going to show. So low box shipment count is out of 9,000 shipments that we do, 1,000 of them are where our number of boxes is under 50. It could be 1 box, it could be 7 boxes, it could be 32 boxes, under 50 really. So this is a low box shipment count. Then instead of this number being shown, really what we want is we want to see that as a percentage of this. Okay, so that's really what we care about. We don't really want to see the number, but we have to calculate the number if I want to calculate the percentage. So this is where we can add a measure. I'll call this as LBS percentage, low box shipment percentage, which would be take the low box shipment count, divide it with shipment count. So we could use the divide function to do this kind of a thing. So this particular measure, we are not really using calculate. but internally it is using calculate because the LBS, this value is having calculate internally, and shipment count. So take these two numbers, divide, and then apply percentage formatting, and then I can kind of build that. So we can see, for example, our shipments to India, only 9% are low box shipments. But some of these other countries like New Zealand and Canada, around 12% of the shipments are low box count shipments. So maybe if I want to kind of bulk ship or optimize the shipping process, there are some gains to be made in some of these other places. At a gross level, we have this. Irrespective of where you're creating these measures and how you're seeing, the measure is still in the model, so I can do the same analysis at an individual person level as well. So now that the LBS is built, I can go here, I can see at an individual person level how many low box shipments each of these people are making. So I can put that there, and then I can see numbers all over the place, and I can apply a sort order to see, for example, Carlin has got a very high, almost 15% of her shipments are low box shipments, whereas Jehu all the way at the bottom, 6.5% of their shipments are low box shipments. So maybe they're able to get some bulk orders, whereas on the other hand, Carlin is probably getting some very smaller orders or whatever may be the case. Again, data is all randomly made up, so I wouldn't really too much think about these, but when you apply these concepts with real world data, you will then have a better sense of, oh, this is where I need to act now. So that's my low box shipment count. Now, the next one that we will create is we are going to talk about using the all function to understand similar kind of a thing. Before that, I'm just going to see through if there is any questions or interesting comments coming up. So Barun says, I have read a lot about problem of context transition. Can you explain that concept in this video? Unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about context transition in this video simply because that is a whole another topic in itself. And I feel like, you know, you need to kind of get into a different, I mean, calculate is a tool we can use to do the transition. So in a way, we are talking about it, but we are talking it from a different level and a different perspective. So I just don't want to deviate too much from our class focus. So I will not be able to discuss that. I appreciate the question. And if you stick around at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about some resources for you to learn DAX and master it. So definitely stay back and learn that if you want. And you can still take notes from this side of things, because many times these things all kind of work together. So there is no like understanding just calculation context alone or understanding this DAX function alone. Most of these things are working together internally. So when you understand this, sometimes that understanding improves as well. Abrar says, thanks man, your content got me into data analysis, loving the work. Thank you so much, Arham. Good luck to you. And Rajan asks, can we also talk about the OR condition? So that's not something that I was planning to show, but I might as well show that, you know, there are a couple of different ways to do the OR condition. I thought, you know, some of these are like trivial or obvious, so I decided to elaborate in different directions. I'll quickly show OR condition, and then we will try the next one. So and even I think Bjorn asks the same question. So how the pipe delimiter versus ampersand switches between and or NOR. I think that's good. So Vishwanath says my video is covering the screen. I think he refers to my face portion. I was watching another YouTube video the other day about how to effectively communicate, because that's my business, right? My whole job is to communicate. And one of the key takeaways is this, that in any communication, 70% is non-verbal communication. So the idea being that many times when you're conveying important ideas or things, then what you show on the screen is more important, and what you show sometimes is also your face and your expressions and your hand movements and everything. So that's why I thought, having my face on there means, you will get a sense of the kind of emotion or the idea or the way things work. Because many times when I'm explaining, I almost think that, you're sitting right there and I'm talking to you rather than I'm talking to the camera or screen, because that way I can get more out of this. So, and then because I'm thinking you're there, I explain with my hands as if I'm talking to my kids or I'm talking in a live class. So that's why I don't want you to miss out on some of those subtle cues. That's why I put my face, but I'm not covering any DAX. The DAX is always on the up there. If it becomes too much, I'll take away my face anytime. But for now, you could probably focus on this area of the screen where the functions will be. Anyhow, so we'll talk briefly about the OR conditions, and then we will get into the agenda for the session, because I think a couple of you have asked and it makes sense that we address that. So let's just say I want to, some of these names are a bit too long, so I don't want to do like OR on the names because that gets a little clunky. We have to spell them correctly and all of that. So we're going to try with the geographies. So I want to find out what is it that we are getting as a total sales or whatever from USA and UK together. So it could be USA or UK. If I just want USA sales or UK sales, I could use the single filter, which would be GO is equal to USA. But because here we have got two, how do we do that? That's basically really what an OR condition is. We'll move that there. We'll create one more table. In this table, I will put my product category. So total sales on this table. So here we are doing this table now. At a category level, this is how much we are doing. And I want to know what that number would be just for USA and UK alone together. So this is one kind of an OR condition. US UK sales is equal to, and this method, this measure, we are going to write in 2 or 3 different syntaxes, so you can kind of understand how calculate can be written as well. So we could say calculate total sales and then GO. Now, because the GO could be either USA or UK, you can use the in operator. The syntax for in is a little bit sketchy for me because I don't use in that much. But I'm going to try it, and if I miss it, then we'll just have to correct the error. I think you open the curly brackets and then specify the countries. So USA, UK, like that. We'll just try this. Oh yeah, that I think that works. That's cool. So this is the in operator, which is kind of like the OR condition, because it can be either of those in things. USA, UK, you can even put Germany here. It's not going to complain. We don't sell to Germany, but DAX doesn't know that, and the values won't change. They'll still be there. So if you have done any bit of SQL work, there is a similar in operator in SQL. In a way, it's kind of like that, the idea and the syntax. Within DAX, we have the curly brackets and then double quotes and space it out. If it is text, if it is numbers or whatever, you just spell them out like this. So US UK sales, this is one. You could kind of take this to more extreme with the different combinations and stuff like that. I'll show you one more way of writing this. I'm not really sure if it works because, as I said, these are not the things that I was planning to cover, so I haven't done any practice, but I do know the concept, so we will just try this out. So US UK sales 2, and this is going to be total sales. So this is actually an improved syntax that they have introduced. Internally, it will get translated into calculate, but it's just that from an outer perspective, it looks a little simpler. So you write the measure and then open bracket and then specify the filters. Then that way you're not using the word calculate, but it kind of amounts to the same thing. So the filter here is geo in USA, UK. So this is a different syntax where you write the base measure, open brackets, and then put your filters there, which will kind of get translated internally to a calculate thing, calculate total sales with applying that filter. The reason why I said I'm a bit nervous to try that is I've not tried it with in operator, but it seems to work. It hasn't at least thrown me an error and the values match, so that's all good. So this is another syntax. Both cases we are doing the OR operation because the country could be either USA or UK. When you are doing an OR operation on a more complicated things can get a bit messy. So you will only be able to do an OR operation if it is an allowed operation in the real world. Like for example, if I have a question like, what is my total sales where the category is bars or the person is bar phony. Now it does kind of make sense in real world, but when you're writing that here, it does look a bit clunky and confusing. Like, what's the point of that? So I don't really know how I would write a measure for that. There is some operators there that you could use, but to be honest, I've never done that and nor I care for that. So in operator gives you that kind of a native way to write the OR condition. If you know anything better, do let me know in the comments so that way I can also pick up something. All right, so this is a good detour, but now I have to probably rename this video as 11 examples of DAX. But hey, a little price to pay, I think, for something like this. That's cool. So we'll go to the next one, which is, we'll understand now. So far, we are altering the filter criteria. So we have got total sales, and then we are saying, oh, bring me the sales for bars, or bring me the sales for bar phony, or bar and bar, or LBS, etc. We'll now use another special operator called all, using which you can take the filters and then kind of ignore them or clear them out. So that's one way of thinking about all. So I'll show that to you in a blank page. In the completed workbook that I provided, there's only 2 pages because it's neatly done. Whereas in a live setting where I'm explaining, sometimes it makes sense to have blank pages for each thing. That way we don't really get confused with other things that are going on. So here, what I want to do is I want to know we'll go from a product perspective. So we'll look at individual product. We have been using total sales for a while, so I'm just going to use total boxes. So this is how many boxes each of them are selling, 3 million total boxes, and that's how individually those go. I want to know what that number would be as a percentage of this. Like at a grand total level, 3 million, what is 86,000 as a percentage? First, we'll see how to do this without even using anything else. There is a built-in screen feature that can do this for you. You've got these 2 things on the visual. You can go to total boxes, click on that little arrow and show value as % of grand total. This way, you don't have to write the DAX. You don't even need to know anything. You'll get the answer. The problem is it kind of changes the value on the screen. It doesn't give you the value in the model, so you can't reuse it for anything else. So this is good if you just want to make this visual, but if I have to use this percentage in something else, like, if the product is under 5% total boxes, then I want to flag it as, something, it's not meeting the target or whatever, then we will not be able to do that. So that's where I think having that value in model is better than seeing it on the screen. So I'll undo that bit, show value as no calculation, but that's a good option to know that, we don't always have to write the all measure. So we got the value. Now what I want to know is if I can get the 3 million here right next to everything, then I can take 86,000 divided with 3 million to get the percentage. So that means at a 3 million level, what are we filtering? We are filtering based on no product. That means we are looking at all products to get to the 3 million. So that's really what I have to tell. I want to ask Power BI or Power Pivot, calculate the total boxes by looking at all products. So we will write that measure, new measure, all product boxes is equal to calculate total boxes for all. Now, when you are writing all, you have a choice of either saying, give me everything in the table or give me everything in a specific column of the table. Depending on how you do it, the level of filtering changes. So there are differences here. We will not get into the specifics now because that can get into a little bit more elaborate discussion. But instead, we will just use all products for now and do it like this. We'll add a comma, and then if I put that there, that number is going to be 3 million irrespective of where we are looking at it. So just to kind of drill down on this point, now I'm going to bring in a team slicer. So if I have a slicer on my team, and then I can kind of pick a specific team, the number will not be 3 million anymore. It's going to be 910,000. This is because when we are saying all, we only said get me all products. We didn't say what to do with the team or what to do with location or anything else in the model. So those filters are still respected. Only the filter on the product table gets cleared. So that's what all is doing. Whatever you put in all, only that is getting cleared. So if I want to say, irrespective of which team I pick, I still want to see 3 million here. Let's say for some purpose, you could go and add all. This time let's add team here, all people team. What this will do is it will ensure that the team filter is also ignored or cleared out when this is considered. So all people team means this is going to be 3 million. But because we have done all people team, if I, instead of my team, if I have got something else here like geography, and then I go to Canada, then I'll see only the Canada values for all products and all teams. So it all depends on what is it that you're putting into the all. I don't want to do it for all teams, so I'm just gonna take away that bit, but you can kind of add multiple alls there. That'll all get respected. So that's that. We will delete this one also so that we can get back to 3 million thing. So 3 million, and then I have got those two values there. Now let's calculate what that would be as a percentage. We will call this as product box percentage. And this time, let me introduce the idea of variables so that you can understand how to use variables as well. Instead of directly dividing, we'll make two variables and then divide those variables. So var TB, short for total boxes, is equal to total boxes. And then var PB, which is product boxes, all product boxes. Oh, I think this should be PB and TB because this is total boxes and that is individual product boxes. So we got two numbers. The first one would be 86,000 and the second one would be 3 million. And then I want to return a calculation which is PB divided by TB. You can directly divide like this, but it's a good idea to use the divide operation. This way, if there is anything funny going on the screen with filter context, you won't get into divide by zero error. Okay, so that's that. We don't have to do it like this. We could have directly written, this will be same as divide total boxes, all product boxes. This measure and that measure are same, but the idea of variables, just I thought, I'll introduce that. So you can kind of create in between variables in DAX when you're building complex syntax. So that's that. And you can use these two things to add a comment in your DAX or write a piece of DAX code that will be ignored. Nothing after that will be considered, so only that will be used. Anyhow, we will do that, and we will apply percentage, and then we will just see, not that. So we are going to get the percentage representation, and then you can probably apply a sort order or something to see which products are like one of our highest selling in boxes. So smooth, silky, salty is a very high selling, like high volume product. Dark bites is one of our lower volume product. The money side is different, so we might actually make more money from some of the lower volume ones because they sell for higher prices or whatever, but that just talks about that. All right, let's just see if there is anything else that I'm looking at the comment. Madhi says, this is really helpful. Humble request to reconsider keeping the video after the stream. I learned by repeating things a few times and could benefit from reviewing the video. I do keep the videos. It's just that sometimes in a live stream, there could be things that are a bit too off track or irrelevant. So if the stream gets too rambly, then I try to take them out. We haven't had that, but the other reason why I like to take down the stream videos is sometimes I take the same idea, turn that into a smaller, crisply edited video on my channel, or sometimes I might repackage and sell the course individually some other places. So for those reasons, I like to keep the streams tight. But you're watching it, it will be there for another week or two for sure before it goes offline. All right, let's see. Tumshukuru says, in the return part, can you do more than one operation? I did one with A plus C minus D, provided the wrong answer. There can only be one value returned, but the return itself can be like more complicated thing. You just declare variables. If you want to do operations on the variables, you can make another variable and then do the operation there. So for example, not that it would make sense in this case, but I could have like var x is equal to pb plus tb. That is a valid thing, and then I can act on x in my return, but not at the return level. At the return level, you're essentially making one operation, whatever that is. It could be any formula, it could be another measure, whatever it is. It's a single operation, because the most important rule for any measure is a measure must return a single value. So as long as you're not violating that, it is all fair game. Raja says, it's like watching a movie from the tip of the seat. Really amazing explanations. Oh, thank you so much. Wait for the stunt scene now. All right. Alfreza says, please put the formula again. Sure. Just want to remind you all that the sample files are there. Completed example file is also there. All the 10 examples are there. The other things that I'm building in the stream won't be part of that, but the sample file is having everything. So in case you miss some of these functions, you can always get them in the sample file. And when the stream finishes, I'm gonna probably take a very long break, but whenever I'm done, I'll come back and I'll upload this file as well on the video description. So you'll have all the files. All right, I'm going to deviate for now. RRR Chusara, this is one of the recent Telugu movies that got released. Yes, we watched it. Last week we went for that. So that's pretty good. We had fun. And the music has been kind of going on repeat now. All right. Feel free to ask more questions in the chat and, keep it live. While let's go and so we got product box percentage. I think if I'm not wrong, we are up to the example number 7. So the next 3 examples, we are going to talk about how to use the date calculations. This is going to get a bit dicey, but probably interesting and fun as well. We'll start slow. We'll build to 2 more examples, and then that's where I'm going to stop. We'll take some questions. I'll talk about what resources you can use to improve your DAX. and then kind of wrap up the stream. So that will be like another 20 minutes, hopefully. So for the time calculations, I'll add a new page. So one of the analysis that we want to start off is, I'll show you the calendar table first, then we will get into this. In the calendar table, I have got all my dates, and I have identified which weekday it is, and then month, year, and year, month as well. So we can do some analysis at month level and all of that. So given this kind of a data, I want to know how many shipments we make on Fridays. Mind you, we don't send shipments out on Saturday and Sunday. We only work from Monday to Friday. So I just want to know what is our Friday shipment count looking like. So this is a very simple calculation, but we can't answer this question without the help of that calendar table that tells me for each date what is the day of week. So now that that information is all there, I can right click, new measure, and then say Friday shipment count is calculate shipment count where calendar weekday. So the way weekday is calculated, if I'm not wrong, 6 means Friday. We'll try with 6. If not, we'll have to come and switch this to 5 or 7 or whatever. But I think 1 is Sunday and 7 is Saturday. So 6 should be Friday. So we'll do that. We get a Friday shipment count. Then I can go and look at this number from any perspective. So I could, for example, look at it from a people perspective. I could have a table here that tells me in the table, salesperson, and then Friday shipment count. So this is the Friday shipment. We could also have like a shipment count itself. So we can see how many is their overall shipments and what is their Friday shipments looking like. Some people, for example, are doing 10% of shipments on Friday, like Jehu, while others might be doing quite high. We could actually calculate the percentage and answer. I'm not doing that, but you can do that at your end. So Pawan Kumar says, calculate working like cell referencing in Excel. No, it doesn't. So this is something that I avoided until this minute in the stream. We are at 1 hour 12 minute mark. I didn't make a single reference to Excel so far in the video. This is because there is a solid reason for this. Especially when you're learning DAX, it's a very good idea to think of your mind has several rooms, and there is a room where all the Excel information is kept. Lock the room, shut it, and throw the key away. Never go back to Excel understanding to understand what DAX is. Think of everything in DAX from a fresh perspective. That way you will understand, use, and appreciate it better. If you try to draw parallel between what it is like in Excel and then try to understand, then what happens is it's almost like you have got a special sunglasses on your eyes that limit your view and only show you certain things in certain way. So take off those glasses, look at DAX from fresh perspective. This will save you a lot of time when you're learning and using DAX in your career. I made this mistake of trying to compare everything with Excel when I started learning DAX 10 years ago. And the first 3-4 years was really hard. But now I'm able to teach it. I'm able to use it a lot better because I don't compare with Excel. End of the rant. We're not going to talk about Excel again. Of course, this channel is about Excel, but in this video, let's just stick about DAX in a fresh perspective. I'll answer one more question. Tata says, what is your favorite food? Ooh, I like everything, man. I mean, I'm a big foodie, but if I have to pick a fruit, mango is my favorite fruit, but I think that's enough. I don't want to reveal too much personal information, but I'm a big foodie. I just like everything. So we got Friday shipment count. This is kind of like a date calculation, but it is not doing too much date calculations. It's a little bit of like scratching the surface of date calculations. And we are able to do this because we have got the date table that tells me what day of week it is and then do it. You could do any number of these kind of things. So for example, you could ask questions like, how many shipments we are making after 4 p.m. we don't have timestamps here, but if we have, we could be able to do that. Likewise, you could ask questions like how many shipments we are making in the first week of the month in any month, or how many shipments we make in the second quarter. All of those, you can do that with this same pattern, which is calculate something, add the date context, and then it'll work. So the next one is, I want to know what would be my year-to-date sales value, okay, or year-to-date shipments, or year-to-date total boxes. The concept of year-to-date is fairly straightforward. You will have a starting point of the year. It could be 1st of January, it could be financial year start. It doesn't really matter what that is. And then you just want to find out in a calendar window how much year-to-date you're doing. So that'll give you a different perspective. Let me just get some water. So to get the year to date, again, the year to date kind of thing only makes sense if the context or the axis is a month or a day or a quarter. If you're looking at an individual level, YTD might make sense, but it kind of hides the nature of that calculation. So for us to understand that, I'm just going to make a different table. In this table, from my calendar, I'm going to put the month year column. So this gives me all the months. So we have data from 1st January 2021 up to March 2022. And each month, what I want to see what was the year to date. So the value will be kind of growing and then it'll reset. So we'll make one year to date calculation. I'll call this as YTD Sales. And when it comes to working with year to date and many things like that, DAX has a special class of functions called date intelligence functions. And they will make most of these calculations very simple. You don't even have to think about what do I filter, how do I reset the filter, nothing like that. It will just automatically do. All you need is a calendar table that is properly mapped and linked in your model. We do have one. So we can just say calculate total sales and then just say dates YTD and then select the calendar date column. And then that's going to just tell you what that value would be if it applies a year to date filter. By default, the year begins on January 1st. But if you have a different starting year, you can specify the year end date. I think here you will just say what the end point of your year is. So if it is 31st March, you will type that and then automatically it will roll over based on that logic. For now, it doesn't really matter what you put there. And then I'm just gonna add that there and then apply the currency formatting. So this is how my year to date looks like. I'll just move this here so we can kind of read. So we started with 1.7 in Feb, we went up to 4, 7. So the values go all the way up to December. Like I said, year begins on Jan, ends on December by default. So the values go like that. And then it kind of resets in Jan. So last year Jan we had 1.7, but this Jan we went up to 4.8. So Awesome Chocolates is growing. We're selling more chocolates now. And at the grand total level, it is 11 million. This is because the grand total refers to the year to date as of the latest data. So right now our YTD value is 11 million. Next month data comes, then it automatically rolls over and calculates that. So there's some more comments, but I think there's no specific questions. I'll come back to some of these personal comments in a minute when we finish the main topic. That way I don't lose track of what we are here for. So we got year to date and then it kind of rolls over and then gets you. I'll quickly show you what happens if you change the YTD endpoint. So we'll make one more measure. This measure is not part of the completed file that I gave you, but you can just see YTD sales for FY. our financial year at Awesome Chocolate ends in June. So July is the starting point for us. So we just want to use that logic. So calculate total sales, dates YTD, calendar date, and then you specify the year end date. This bit seems a bit dodgy to me, so I'm just going to type something and then we'll see if this works. Otherwise, we'll have to try a different format, I guess. 30 June 2022. It shouldn't really matter what year you mention. I don't even think you need to mention everything. You can even say June and it might work. But okay, there is no error. So we'll just see what that looks like. Yeah. As I said, it doesn't matter as long as, I think the key point being the month. That's really what it is looking for. Everything else is ignored. And we apply the filter. So you can see that now the resetting happens at the end of June. So at the end of June, 12 million, and then it kind of falls back to 2, 5 like that, and it goes up. And this YTD figure would be what's the year to date latest. So 33 million, because that's the end point in March. So that's the dates YTD. Like we have dates YTD, we have got dates MTD, month to date, dates QTD, quarter to date, automatically doing the rollover calculation. In fact, you don't even have to do this whole calculate thing. There is another formula that we could use. So I'm just gonna comment this one out and I'll show you the other formula. It's called total YTD. It's like a shorter formula. Internally, the calculate will apply. But what it will do is it will say what the total sales would be for calendar date as the date. And then you can give extra filters. We don't have any filters. And then we can say 30 June 2022. So the total YTD is like a shorthand version of the calculate value and then all of that. It's just gonna do the total thing. And something happened. Oh, it wants the filter. What am I missing here then? But it is optional, so all right. I mean, it does work for the default year, but if I don't want the default year, I want to use it like that, then what? I'm gonna try it like this and then see, because I have not used optional parameters in a while. Oh yeah, that works. Okay, we don't have to use an extra comma there. So that's the total YTD, and then kind of shortcuts the calculate YTD, dates YTD pattern. I prefer calculate option this way because that way I don't even need to remember the syntax of another thing. Everything I use calculate and one and done. But total YTD is also there, like that total MTD and total QTD are also there. So that is the 9th example of calculate. Well, technically we've probably done like 15 already, but that's 9. We're going to do one more and then that's the end of this show. That is how to do a year-over-year sales increase percentage. So it could be sales, it could be boxes, it could be shipments, it could be something else, whatever else that you have got going on. So we'll add a new page. In this page, I'm gonna build the necessary table and the analysis, and then we'll write the necessary measures. I think we may have to write like 3 or 4, 1 or 2 measures at least. So we'll start by putting month, and then what I want to know is, given that these are my sales, I want to know from last year to now how much our sales have improved. It could be last year, it could be previous month, it could be start of the quarter or 3 months ago, 6 months ago. It doesn't matter. The pattern is same. We are just going to do it from last year because that is a more standard and kind of very much used in business situations. Given that this is the only data that we have, naturally we don't have any comparison for the previous year. So we can only compare for Jan 2022, Feb and March. We will not be able to do similar analysis for Jan 2021 because we haven't got Jan 2020 data here. But in your models, you might have like historical data going back, so you could do YoY analysis there. Before I jump there, I'm just gonna quickly browse and see if we have any questions. Juja says, can you show the example with where again? I don't even remember what that is. So that's the I think that's the where. I probably, if you are doing divide of PB by TB, that's going to be 100%. You have to say numerator, comma denominator like this. So, then let's just see. I think Gra Anand asks, can we use financial dates? I did use that, so that's probably cool for you. And Raja says, my boss always wants to see 12 months of data irrespective of starting and ending of the year, like Feb to Jan or March to Feb, April to March. So there is two things here. Calculate is used for calculating. It cannot really change the screen filters. The screen filter will depend on other things. So here I'm seeing 13 months data, but if I just want to see only the latest, not 13 months, 15 months data, and if I just want to see latest 12 months alone, not everything, then I'll have to use other options like the filter panel, or I'll have to set up a filter at Power Query level and bring only the relevant data here. So calculate cannot change the amount of data that is coming to the screen. That is controlled by your visual filters and other filters. Alfred says, can you please differentiate between all and all except? That is not part of this session's agenda, but here is the good news. I'm gonna have a video on the channel very soon where I talk about all and all except. This is because some of you already know this. My wife Jo, she works as a Power BI developer, so she does a lot more Power BI work than I do. And recently, when we are all working from home now, so recently when I walked into her office, she was kind of looking a bit frustrated, and she asked me, hey, can you help me with this? So it turned out all except was the solution to the problem, but we are using it wrongly. So we both spent quite some time figuring out what was going on and solved that issue. So I'm going to talk about that experience in a video, in upcoming video on the channel. So yeah, if you're a subscriber, you will probably get to see it if you have got notifications on. Otherwise, feel free to visit the channel in a few months' time. You will have that video there. So that's that. Since I've got some content planned on all except, I don't want to get into that. But you can read the documentation. Given the fact that what you understood in this session, it should be fairly straightforward to kind of decipher all except there. So Keegan says, you do not have to specify a month and a year. 0630 will do. Yeah, that's also right. So I think even if we just say June, it might work. Someone can. And then Rajan says, extra comma not required. Forget Excel while working with DAX. Yes. See, this is the bit. Even if I forgot Excel, my hands and my motor memory is like, if there is an optional thing that you're not passing, press comma. Sherian says, is there any way to override the Intellisense? I think the Intellisense is there to kind of give you a guidance. You can type whatever you want and press enter and it will be added to the model. But if the expression that you wrote is not a valid measure, then it's not going to work on the screen level. Over the years, I think Intellisense has now gone to a very solid level where it does tell you if you are writing something wrong, almost reliably, but sometimes it probably wouldn't know. And I think there is some UI bugs as well. So I don't really know if that addressed your question, but hopefully that kind of did. All right, so we'll continue with our last example, and then I'll come back for some more discussion. So we got total sales here, and I want to know what is my year-over-year sales increase. So all I have to do is, for each month, if I can ask the question, what was this value 1 year ago? Then we'll get the answer. So we'll try a few different methods there. New measure, total sales 1 year back, and then this is calculate total sales. There's actually some built-in DAX functions that will just do this particular thing alone, because this is something that is done in many business scenarios all over the world. So they've got like a function that will just do that. You don't have to think about how to roll over the calendar and all of that. Things get a bit more interesting and fun when you have custom calendars and your rollover dates are different and all of that. But many typical sales scenarios or any other scenario, the question literally means, what was this number if I have to take the same window, move it back 1 year? So I think it's called same period last year. That's the function. We're going to try this calendar date. So you specify the date column in your calendar table, and then it's just going to roll over that. And then we'll add that. So it will give you the value. Like I said, this value is not available for 2021, but it's only available for 2022, because from 2022 I can ask the question what was 1 year ago, but 2021 we haven't got any data, so it's all blank going back in the time. So this number Jan value here 1.752583 is same as that. This is same as that. So you can see these three values are exactly same as those three values. And if you have got more data, it kind of automatically rolls over. So this is going here. If there is a future month, that will go there and kind of rolls over. But right now we only have data up to March 2022. So this is why only those three are there. Now, given that I have got 4.8, 1.752, I can calculate YoY sales increase, which is a final measure YoY sales variance. And you can do it in dollars or percentages. So I'll do a dollar one first. The dollar would be total sales minus total sales 1 year back. We'll start with this. We'll probably have to come back and fix this. And then when you add, you will see the answers here. These three are correct. But we get some rubbish values here as well. This is because the blank is kind of like 0. So it's saying 1.752583 minus 0 is 1.752583. So it tells me from 1 year ago, our sales variance is 1.752 million, which is wrong. So we will need to correct our measure. So instead of directly subtracting like this, we are now going to do it with a if condition. So if my is blank total sales 1 year back, so we'll check if that is blank. If so, then this should also be blank, the variance dollar, else this can be that. There's probably a better way to write these kind of things, but we'll just do it like this for now. And in that way, these values will also blank out, and only will get here the thing. So that's YoY variance. We could kind of take this and express that as a percentage as well. When you do percentage, you can just divide this with that and get the percentage here. I'll leave that to you as homework. So go ahead and do that, add percentage, and you can add conditional formatting and all sorts of things. For example, here on this variance, I could add a data bar so that we can spot any negative and positive variance. So these 2 months we have got a huge jump, and in March we kind of went down a bit. Maybe people are not eating enough chocolate in March. And this is at an overall level. I can now go and add some extra slicers. I think we've done enough slicers. So let's just add a column chart where I'm showing at a category level how many boxes we are shipping. And I can kind of to see how much the variance is on bars or bytes or other category, and then everything changes nicely and then tells me what's happening, all of that. All right, so that kind of concludes the topic explanation side of things. I do have a couple more things, so stick around, but let me just first look at some of the comments to see if there is any questions on what we covered so far. All right, I'm just going to address this comment because there's a couple more comments like this that I read earlier. Can you please upload a video on complete Power BI DAX end-to-end for beginner to advanced? See, it's very good that you're asking this question, but isn't it a bit selfish because I am teaching things, but at the same time, I also run some courses because that's how I feed this whole beast, right? If I'm just sitting here and talking about Power BI for free all my life, then I wouldn't be able to feed my family or live a decent life. So I have some courses where this exact thing is addressed. In the example file that I provided, there is a get my Power BI course option. So check it out. That is really what this is. It's a 20-hour course. It'll give you everything that you need. But if you're looking for free content, there is enough on my channel. There's plenty of other channels out there. But you have to do the work. I can't really come and give you everything in one nice video like that. So that's a little bit that. Pawan says, can you handle last 3-week data? The patterns are similar irrespective of what you're doing. So whether you're doing last year same month or Friday sales or year to date, the pattern is always similar. So you just have to think, I want last 3 weeks. So how do you do it in real world? You would first find out what is the starting point or end point. So you'd find the maximum date or the last date in your data. And then you would set a date filter using calculate, where you tell calculate that calculate total sales, where my date is beginning 3 weeks ago from the maximum date and ending at this date. So there is a function called dates and period. You can use that and you can build it. I leave that to you as homework because it's good that you're asking this question, but at the same time, you need to think how this can be applied in real world situations, because for 3 weeks and 2 weeks and 7 weeks, we can't write individual measures. So we have to think in a creative way and then do it. So that's that. We got a super chat. I think Mahdi says, thanks so much for this helpful info. This content saves me so much time. Big thanks to you, Mahdi, for the super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we got one more from Johnson, super sticker. Thank you, Johnson, for that. Really appreciate it. So, and then Ash asks, can you do QOQ? Same as YoY. So instead of same period last year, which is like a shortcut function that exactly takes the window and moves it back 1 year, you want to use a function that kind of rolls the dates back by a period. So the period would be 3 months. So every time it will just go back 3 months and then do a QOQ analysis. There are DAX functions built in for that. So you can kind of search it up, or I'll show you one more page. This is something that I'm planning to get in anyway. So this is one of the websites that I use, Dax Dot guide. Because DAX is constantly evolving, there is a lot more functions than I know. And many times what happens is, if you learn DAX, like some of you are learning now, I learned DAX 10 years ago. So whatever I learned at that time, at some point I felt confident, like, okay, I knew enough, I can do stuff. So then what happens is we naturally stop learning, but the language keeps evolving. So there's new things coming up all the time, but you have to make time to learn. So if you think, okay, we learned everything in Chandu's class, we don't need to do anything more. Fast forward 3 years, you might see there's new things. So from time to time, you may want to go into a website or a book like that. I like this site. It's by the SQL BI people. And here there is a time intelligence functions section. check this. There's got all these beautiful functions there that that you could use. Like previous quarter is there, just tells you what happened previous quarter, and then all sorts of functions like that. So check it out, give it a try for your scenarios. If you click on one of these, it's gonna give you some examples as well, notes and remarks and examples, and everything is there. Patterns are there, copy paste, try it out, and then yeah, good luck with that. So that's that. Aarti says, how can we calculate percentages per month instead of grand total? Sales in March. So this is where I think the idea is it will calculate in the context. So if I want to see what happened in the March, if I filter the data just down to March, then I can see every day how much was the percentage of March total, because by filtering, it will still respect the filter on the other things. So that's one thing. I hope that I addressed. Oh, this is good. This is something that I was actually planning to bring up anyway. Happy Ugadi, brother. You are a truly inspiration for me. Datta Navneet. Thanks, Datta. Happy Ugadi for everyone who is watching. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but today, April 2nd, for me in New Zealand already, is the Telugu New Year celebration. So it's basically English New Year is the 1st of Jan. Telugu New Year happens to be, it kind of changes based on the moon cycle, but 2nd of April is the Telugu New Year. So I'm really excited because as soon as we finish this, I'm going to go downstairs and we're going to make some really yummy food. Like I said, I'm a big foodie, so eat it up and then probably go for a long walk and then maybe a nap. So, yay. Yeah, so if you celebrate that, it's a very happy Ugadi for you and your family as well. Jim says, courses are well worth it. Have learned so much and the money well spent. Chandu is awesome. Thank you, Jim. It's really nice to. All right. There's some comment from Bjorn. Data visualization in quarters. Generally, we have a filter for the users to select the relevant quarter for their info. How do I include a measure for the 4 quarters preceding the selected quarter? So it's a bit more technical, Beyond, but what you could do is, so if I pick up a quarter or whatever, then you need to figure out what is the available or what is the latest time that you have got, or what is the starting point of the time or date calendar window. So everything we have to think in the context of what do we need to filter in order to get the numbers. So if I want to go from a selected date 4 quarters back and then show what happened 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months ago, then once you pick, then it's going to tell you what that date is. So I only reveal some clues because this is not part of the discussion at all. I have not tested these things out. And I don't want to get into like whole next 1 hour kind of a thing. But I'll add a slicer here and then I'm going to put my date. So this slicer is going to give you kind of like a rolling scale. And from here I can pick a date. So for example, I want to limit my data up to this point, let's just say randomly. So then I can write a measure on the calendar table. It doesn't matter which table you write this measure on, but we'll just put it there, is max date or last date. And then we can just say last date of calendar date. This won't even be correct when you apply it on the visual. You'll have to do all date as well. But if I do it like this, and then I put a card on max date, so this is going to tell me that with the window that you have selected, the last date that you see is 23rd of November 2021. So that's the starting point. Now that we know the starting point, ending point, from here I can build a calculation, for example, by using the dates between or dates in period function. What dates between does is it will get you all the dates between a start and end date. So I know the end date. I just have to roll back 3 months to get the start date and then use the dates between. What this will do is it will generate a mini calendar table, And because of the way filters work, now that the calendar table has shrunk, it's gonna go and shrink the data as well, and then your measures will work like that. So that's the pattern. I highly recommend that before you build more complex ones, try out with simple things like, can I answer the question of what happened last week, and then go from there. That way you will build the knowledge very quickly. Certain things and the way you do all depends on how your model is set up and all of that. I just want to give a shout out to some of the Ronnie sends a super sticker as well. Thanks, Ronnie. And Bjorn says happy Ugadi Chandu. Thank you, Bjorn. Keegan says, how does super chat work? I think in YouTube, when you're watching the video, there is live chat, like the way you're messaging. And you also have next to the chat, there's a dollar button or something, and you can click on that and you can do a super chat from there. And then Brown says, sadly, we do not have any Indian restaurants in Cambridge that sell dosas. So last time Bjorn drove up to Wellington for something, and we caught up, and we went to a Malaysian restaurant, but they sell good Indian food as well. Again, I'm a big foodie. So Bjorn had some dosa and I had something else. So that's probably what he's referring to. You could probably drive up to Auckland. They have got some very, very good Indian restaurants. Like literally, I've been to Auckland twice since we moved to Wellington. And both times the agenda was to have food there. Like it was the real agenda. There's nothing else. We were not there to even see the sights. Just eat food from all the amazing restaurants, including the Indian restaurants. Priyanka says, thanks for the session. I have one request. Can you please make one video of most useful DAX functions? Ooh, that's a good one. I might actually make something like that. Thanks for the suggestion, Priyanka. I'll make a note of that, and then yeah. All right. So I want to conclude. I'll come back to more questions if you have got. I'll be here for another 15-20 minutes for sure. But I just thought, I'll first tell you how to kind of go from here. So a couple of suggestions. Number one is DAX is a bit of kind of like a strange thing, especially if you're coming from Excel or SQL or Tableau or whatever maybe the other world you were living in before you moved into DAX. Depending on how that world is, DAX might appear a little bit different to you. Like for me personally, I came from a heavy Excel background. So my first few years of learning DAX was always like, oh, I do this in Excel, I'm going to do the same in DAX, like that. And that was kind of like a struggle for me. Fortunately, you're not going to make the same mistake because I'm at least alerting you now to not compare with Excel. But irrespective of whatever is your upbringing, chances are you will have some sort of a hiccup learning DAX. So one option is you should probably get a book. I recommend some books. Again, there is nothing like nobody is paying me to say these things. These are the books that I read and I really enjoy, and I felt like a book is a good friend because then you could do online, like go and search on YouTube or Google, or you can open Power BI and try to brute force your learning. But one of the good things with reading a book is when you're reading a book, your attention is here. So you read something, you kind of think and introspect and noodle that thought over a period of time. So this gives you a different way of learning altogether. If you are somebody who doesn't like books and you never want to read anything, that's fine. But if you have enjoyed any books, then probably learning from book is a good one. So Supercharged Power BI, this is a book by Matt Allington. He's a very good friend, but more than that, he's an excellent author. So this is a good book for you to learn. I got a link to this book in my video description. Check it out. It will take you to Amazon and you can purchase it there. Got one more book. This book is good for like getting the practical DAX. But if you want to learn a bit more about the theory and understand how it works internally so that you can get more out of it, then you cannot go wrong with the Definitive Guide to DAX. So both of these books are always on my bookshelf. I kind of refer to them. This book is a bit like kind of too technical and dense, but I refer to it time to time. Whereas this will give you kind of like that hands-on thing very, very quickly with your DAX journey. 2 books. The next option is you could consider going for a course. Again, you don't have to join any courses. You don't have to pay anyone money. You can learn. But if you want to have something structured, you can consider getting the Power BI course that I run. I run 2 kinds of programs. One is a self-paced course and the other one is like a live class. So some of the people that are part of the stream, like Ronnie and beyond, they attended the live class where I do online live sessions. But someone else might have attended the self-paced course. So the link to the self-paced course is in the example file that I gave. Check it out, and you just have to control click on it to go to that website, and I'll just open up here. I'm just gonna. So it's called Power BI Playdate, and it's a comprehensive Power BI course. You will learn DAX. You will also learn how to use Power Query. You will learn how to use Power BI to build dashboards and everything. And it's a quite reasonably priced course. It will cover very well in-depth level of things. So there's 2 options. Right now it is in waiting list mode, but you can sign up for the waiting list. And if you are in a hurry, just email me and then I'll kind of tell you how to join from the backdoor option. So those are some options, but feel free to download the files, practice. And if you already know most things, then you should be able to self-learn the rest. But if you are someone who is looking forward to learning the whole thing in one go, then going for a course is a good option. So those are some things. I'm just gonna now go back to my face and then let's see what comments are there. If you've enjoyed this particular stream, do tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and feel free to like the video if you think that helps. You should definitely like the video if you enjoyed it. So Parasuram says, hello from Georgetown, Guyana. Hi, Parasuram. Keegan says, where's my invite for the good food? Well, if you are in Wellington, you are invited. If you're not in Wellington, you should first come here and then tell me that you're here, and then I'll tell you about the food. Pebiadar says the DAX Bible is one of the regulars. Yeah, that's a good one as well. I haven't read it, but I kind of hear people talking about that. That's good. Oh, maybe you're referring to the Definitive Guide or the DAX Bible, probably. Tumshukuru says, is the everything in Power Pivot DAX similar to Power BI DAX? They're kind of similar. The Excel version of DAX has few less functions, but functionally and internally and technically they're same. It's just that Power Pivot DAX offers a few more functions and things. And it is usually the one that is updated first, and then later 2-3 months or 1 year later, same things appear in the Excel side of things. Rajan says, when will you be covering new array functions of Excel? I did have many videos on that, and I'm having in April I'll be talking about Lambda as well as the text split function. So those 2 videos are already in the pipeline. The Lambda one is the one that you will see immediately after this live stream next week. I think the Lambda one is the Lambda one is going next week, and then a couple of weeks down the line I'll be talking about the text split one. I do have functions on filter and dynamic array functionality already on the channel. And then further down next month, I'm having a video on the XLOOKUP as well. Probably the 3rd or 4th time I have the videos on XLOOKUP. So it's going to be an exciting month. In fact, those of you who tried some of those new functions like text split and text before, text after, let me know in the comments, what do you think about them? I'm pretty excited. At the same time, I feel like it's a little too late for us because we have had the fortune of using Power Query. So most of the text processing now I do in Power Query instead of doing it in Excel by formulas, because it gives you so much more power to kind of manipulate text. But having the functions in Excel is always good. Beyond says, I highly recommend the live class. It was really personal and inclusive, and Chandu led it at a superb rate with lots of examples. Thanks, Beyond. Thanks for that testimonial. Keegan sends in a super sticker as well. Thank you, Keegan. Ajiz says, would you do a session on mastering M language? That's a very, very good question. I did a live stream on Power Query last year. I have quite a few videos on Power Query already in the channel. I don't want to get into too much advanced M language kind of a thing because not that I have anything against it. I'm very conversant with M language. I do write it. It's just that I am trying to figure out when is the good time to fit it into my video schedule, because everything is there. But probably we are gonna have a live stream on some advanced Power Query scenarios in the next few months. The other thing that I'm also doing parallelly is, in fact, I just finished recording a mini course on advanced Power Query. So it's basically 20 examples. I'll be advertising that on the channel as well as on my website and emails in the next 2-3 weeks. So the course is like recorded. I just have to produce and edit and publish that. So it's basically an hour-long course where you will kind of walk through different scenarios with Power Query and then figure out how to solve those and learn some valuable techniques. So yeah, it's not an M language course, but it is something like that. Ooh. Honestly, the session is great. Cheers from Tanzania. Thank you. Cheers. I ran out of my coffee already and now I'm into water. How? Raval says, are you planning a visit to Toronto, Canada? You and your family are welcome to our home. Oh, thank you so much. That is a really, thank you so much for the invitation. I would love to come to Toronto. I don't know, probably 2023. This year is not going to happen because this year we are really looking forward to go back to India and say hello to my mom and in-laws and brother and all the family. We haven't been to India in 2 years due to COVID, so I'm really looking forward to going to India this year. But next year we want to come and visit US and hopefully maybe do some live sessions in US. I haven't done that since 2015, so it's been a good long while since I've done any live training in-person courses there. And if possible, maybe hop over to Canada and, see the falls from the other side, I guess. Question, no compliment. You're awesome. And on this auspicious day, wishes to you and your family and all here. Hope you all get the ingredients. Here in Darwin, Australia, we have tamarind and banyan trees. Oh, that is good. Yesterday we went out and we got some mango. There's no fresh mango available, but we got some frozen mango. Everything else is there, so we are looking forward to making the traditional Ugadi Pachadi, which is like a small dish that you have on the day. The idea is it combines all the flavors, so you have got sweet, sour, bitter, tangy, and everything is there. And that kind of reminds you that life is full of all the combinations. You never have just sweet or sour or saltiness alone. So yeah, it's a tradition. So I'm looking forward to that. I need to take a shower and then start doing that. We got a special guest here. Goodly says, hi Chandu, just wanted to say hi. Hey Chandeep, hello to you as well. Some of you might know Goodly is a Hiransa YouTube channel. And that's pretty good actually. You should check out, like, he does talk about DAX, he does talk about Power Query, Power BI. So definitely check out his channel, Chandeep's channel. In there's so many good tricks there. Like I mentioned, I'm not a practitioner of Power BI. I teach it, but I kind of use it to teach. In that, I'm not doing any contract or consulting work where I use Power BI in that capacity. But my wife, she's a Power BI developer. And guess which channel she watches quite often? She watches Goodly's channel, because every now and then she'll pick up, oh, this is good, I can do this. So, so she watches his channel. So do check that one out. Yeah. Parasuram says VBA, Power Query, or Office scripts are for Excel users to learn. We would like your recommendation on which we can use these days. If you are in a confusion about which one to learn first, I would say start with Power Query. Power Query, once you kind of understand and fit it into the spectrum of things that you're doing, at that point you will be able to take a call like, oh, do I need to learn anything else, or this is enough? Because many times the capabilities of these technologies overlap. So what we could do with VBA, we can kind of do with Power Query and also with Office scripts. And so there is a lot of overlap there. And many times you don't have to, like, you don't get 3 hammers, you get 1 hammer and then you try to get another tool like a screwdriver. So think of this like that. If you already learned Power Query, then maybe you want to learn something else, like how to build good visualizations is a good skill to learn, rather than learning VBA programming or Office scripts or whatever. But start with Power Query. But if you are working in a very old organization or something else, like you're using situations or workbooks that are built by others and maintaining, maybe learning VBA is a good choice as well. Mansit says, if you happen to be in Hyderabad anytime this year, next year, can spare some time, please let us know. I like to meet you there. Thanks, regards. That's the thanks for the invitation, Mansit. I will be visiting Hyderabad because my brother and mom live there, so that's where I will be going when I go to India. I will have to see exactly how much time I have, because I want to prioritize meeting my family. All my college friends and others live there, so catch up with them. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe we might even have like a small meetup or something in one of the parks and go for a walk with some of our regulars and chat up. Rohan says, hello Chandu, I recently got selected as a BI analyst intern in a startup company in my city. Looking forward to my data analyst journey. Yay, congratulations Rohan. I'm pretty sure you're going to love this. It's a really good time to get into data. So you're starting with an intern job, and pretty sure you will learn and appreciate the amount and how things work, because it's one thing to learn from outside, but when you start working, you will see that everything is a lot different. And so Joe says, any plans on adding any more shows to your podcast or doing any similar projects? So I haven't really done any podcast in a while, but some of the old followers might remember that, not old as in old, but followers who have been here with me for a while remember that I used to have a podcast up until 2016, 17 maybe, and then I stopped doing it. So right now my all my energy is on the YouTube channel. I want to be making content on YouTube and then support that with my courses and stuff like that. But hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I have been having thoughts about revisiting the podcast, but it hasn't really happened. Now there's a couple more podcasts on the data space, so I'll just have to see if I would be adding value there, or it's best if I spend that here. I might do something more on the YouTube front, but not probably with the podcast for now. Hi Chandu, you're indeed marvelous. Please, how best I can become well versed in DAX. So I did talk about how to learn DAX at the end of the video. Feel free to kind of go back a few minutes and you'll find that. And yeah, definitely, I think a lot comes from practicing, but also gaining deeper understanding of how things work. Because when you know how it works, then you will be able to achieve more out of it. So give it adequate time to learn and then practice. That's the key there. Viral Commander says, how much SQL knowledge is required to pursue a career in Power BI, as big organizations have data stored in different servers? I think you probably need to know more than adequate level of SQL. Like if you can write a select statement and that's all you know, then that's not going to be enough in many places. While Power Query does offer an alternative to SQL, many places you may have to write SQL queries or build views or do some stuff at a database level before you get into Power Query. So, and that all depends on the job also. Sometimes those roles and those responsibilities are done by someone else and you just get clean data and you just have to analyze. But almost every consulting situation I have been to, I had to use SQL. I know SQL because I kind of learned that in college and I've done fairly decent amount of SQL work in my life. So that's there. And I plan to have a video on SQL on the channel as well in the coming months. So it's still working, like I'm cooking the video. In fact, I'll show you a secret. So as part of my SQL research, I have learned SQL in college and I can write queries, but I thought, I should get a book from the library. So I went to the local library and got this book, but I haven't read a single page because I do know the language. I was just thinking I'll refer to this book before I prepare my video. So I've installed SQL Server, MySQL server on my computer, set up the data set and everything is ready, but I haven't read the book. So the book has been on my desk. And yesterday I got an email from library saying, your book will be due by 3rd of April. So you need to come back and give it to us. So, but I'll have a SQL video on the channel, but you probably want to learn a little bit, not a lot of it at least to begin with. It's a good language to learn. So Beyond says, it may be time for a SQL course. Sure, why not? It's probably something that is worth exploring. I might want to do like the Power Query course first and then get into a SQL course. But I will definitely have like a mini course on SQL if possible. Asad says, hello Chandu sir, a data analyst aspirant from India. I want to learn Excel in complete manner. Can you say where to start? I mean, content a lot on your channel. I don't get where to start. So there are a couple of places where you can start. I might actually get here. I would say a better place to start would be if you go to my website. There's a lot here, but I'll say go to the topics and then click on Excel Basics. That will give you the basics of Excel. At that point, you have choices. You can go for topics, advanced Excel skills, but you could also go for the Excel course that I run. This is like a one-stop course that will take you from beginner to advanced. It will teach you everything right from Power Query, how to clean up data, how to use functions, pivot tables, charts, dashboards, everything is covered. It's a beautiful course. I've taught this course to more than 25,000 people so far. And, I get just positive reviews all the time. So if you want like one-stop thing, go for the course. If you want free content, then check out the topics and there's links there that you can follow and learn. And then channel also has playlists. So check out the playlists and go from there. All right. I think we kind of covered a good ground. We are about 2 hours mark. So I would really love to finish the stream. We'll just take a few more questions, maybe 2 questions, and then I'll stop there. I'm just gonna Joe says, Chandu's 10 formulas for aspiring analyst was fantastic. I recommend it to all analysts in my field that are starting out. Yeah, definitely. That's a good article. It has got some very good examples. One of the recent videos that I did is 15 important, or advanced functions for Excel. So check that one out as well. It kind of follows the same track. Maggie Biss says, can you please tell something about y-axis and x-axis? Can we make it costume? Ooh, what costume are we making? Or maybe I didn't read this correctly. So feel free to expand on this. X-axis is x-axis, y-axis is y-axis. But if I have to show a simple example, if you put, obviously you'll need to have a graph that can support this. Like a scatter plot is a good graph that has both axes. And then whatever you put on that, it's gonna get there. So you can put geo. So each geography is one dot. Category. I don't think it likes on y-axis with non-number values, so maybe I'll try. We need a number thing. I'm just gonna use boxes for now. This is kind of like a rubbish graph, but we'll just try this one out. So this is one way, like what goes on y-axis is one, what goes on x-axis is another. I don't know if this is helpful or not, but maybe that's what you mean. Oh, you mean custom. Okay, customize it. What are we trying to customize? Because the Power BI doesn't offer much in terms of axis customization, yet they add new features every month. So to customize things, you can always go to the format visual panel, and from here you can kind of change things. So you can add titles, you can adjust things. Not everything is customizable, but you can adjust the minimum and maximum ranges or colors and stuff like that. In future versions, they might add new things, but for now, these are the only options that we have. Sarvendra says, hi Chandu, I tried to opt for Power BI courses, but the course price is shown in dollar. Would you help me get that in rupees? Yeah, just write an email to me and then I'll be able to send the rupee payment option as well. It's kind of same, but email me and then the email address is on the course page anyway. Pulkit says, my wife is a teacher. She admires how you make your videos on YouTube. Can you please make a video on how you make such beautiful videos? Thanks, Pulkit. Say hello to your wife. And so my mission on the channel is to help you become good with data analysis or Excel. So I try to not talk about other things on the channel as much as possible, but I do have some personal glimpses and stories every now and then. So one video that I would recommend is if you, I'm just checking that one out here. Give me a second. So on the channel, if you go to the videos and then if you go down, so here is a video. It's published 3 months ago. It's called How I Make Videos, How Much I Earn, What Equipment I Use. So maybe ask her to watch this. In that, I kind of reveal the process that I'm using for making the videos and all the behind the scenes stuff and items and stuff like that. Yeah, probably that'll give her what she's really looking for. So I think this is the last question. Do you use any external tools? I haven't really used it much, but I do have the external tools ribbon on, and I did try the tabular editor. I'm gonna install DAX Studio as well to play with that, and maybe add some instructions on how to use. But probably my next videos on Power BI are gonna focus more on how to use Power BI itself, talk about individual bits, and then eventually get into those things at a later point. If you need more guidance on the external tools, you may want to refer to the SQL BI channel or the Guy in a Cube channel. Links for Guy in a Cube is already there in the video description. Check them out because they do talk about those things. And yeah, watch that out. All right. Vishwanath says, can you arrange for some kind of a quiz competition or something of a grant, some good discount to the person on your courses? This is something that people ask. The only reason why I don't do that is it's too much of a hassle for me to arrange and conduct all of this. And the way I approach all of this is really simple. 90% of everything that I produce, I put it out for free on my site or YouTube channel. The other 10% I charge just so that I can support my mission. I can live a life. I don't have to go and work and burn the candle at both edges. So that's really the philosophy there. So if I have energy, I would use it for making free content, or I'd make a course. That's really how I make my decisions. This way I don't have to think, oh, should I run a quiz, or should I do this, or should I do this? Nah, I'll make either a video or put an article or make a course. That way everything is really straightforward and simple for me. I know the courses are expensive, but because I give a lot of free content, you don't have to buy it. If you cannot afford it, please don't buy the stuff. Use your money wisely and enjoy the content that I'm giving for free. And when you are able to afford, go for the course if you want. Otherwise, that's also fine with me. So that's really it. I hope I'm not offending anyone. It's just that that's way I get to do what I do best without having to juggle too many balls. Kalyan says, what is the price of Power BI course? So it's $199 US. I think it's about 16,000 or 14,000 in rupees, if I'm not wrong. You can check the price on the website, and the INR pricing will be similar. It's just there is a little bit of discount applied when you go for the rupee option if you use that. All right. Oh, there's a super sticker from Hammy. Thank you so much, Hammy, for that. I really appreciate it. And Ravi Kumar says, not the last, this one last, please. I would love to learn SQL from you, Chandu. I am really itching to teach the SQL as well. Everything is ready. It's just that I have to find correct time to put it out. My videos for April are already recorded and scheduled out, but the SQL one is coming really soon. So it could be out in May or it could be late April. So we'll just see how it goes. Sairam says it's a waiting list. Yeah, please join the waiting list, but email me if you want to just skip the queue and sign up right now. I will send you the details. The email is also already there. When you sign up for the waiting list, you will get an email from me anyway. You can reply back and then say that, hey, I want to go for the course now. What do I do? And then I'll get you the option to sign up for the program. All right, so 2 hours, 17 minutes. I think that's pretty decent. We have covered a very good ground. Don't forget to download the files and practice. And let me know in the comments later on, once this finishes, you won't be able to live chat, how it goes with the practice. And if you've got any questions, put them there, as well as do check out other resources that I recommend, the channels and the books and other stuff if you want to expand your DAX knowledge. So that's pretty much it. I'll catch you all in the next live stream. I do live streams last Friday of every month, so this is going to be a live stream at the end of the April as well. This is a special month. We have got 2 live streams, and then we'll pick some other exciting topic. So if you have got a good topic suggestion, put that in the comment as well. I'll read the comments and then I'll make notes. Thanks all, and if you celebrate Ugadi, happy Ugadi to you everyone. But otherwise, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.